Sir, you're dead according to our records. That's what the bank told me the week I came home from cancer treatment expecting to step back into the life I'd nearly lost, only to find out some HOA woman had moved strangers into my family's lake cabin and called the cops when I showed up alive. She looked me dead in the eye and said I had no right to my own property. And I'm telling you, I thought I'd heard it all, but nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to uncover. If you've ever thought you'd seen a wild property story, buckle up. This one's got it all: fraud, betrayal, a fake environmental empire, and a comeback that's almost too good to be true. You ever come back to a place from your childhood expecting things to feel just like they did in your memory, and then get blindsided by how much it's changed? Multiply that feeling by 1,000 toss in a 6-month battle with cancer, and you might come close to what I felt pulling up to my old family cabin that Monday morning in June. All I wanted was to sit on the porch, watch the sunrise, and breathe for the first time in months. Instead, I found the cabin painted some awful vacation rental blue with a sign out front for rent, Green Lake Conservation Foundation. I just sat there in my truck staring, thinking maybe the chemo had scrambled my brain, but nope, there it was. And then I heard music and laughter from the back deck. I come around the side, and there's this young couple grilling, having a party right on top of my grandmother's old flower beds. Trash everywhere, their car halfway in the garden, acting like they owned the place. I tried to stay calm, but my heart was pounding. I told them it was my family's cabin, and they looked at me like I'd come back from the grave, which in their minds I guess I had. The woman nearly dropped her drink. The foundation told us you died in the hospital. We've been paying rent to help the environment. They showed me their lease, official-looking paperwork and all. $400 a month to some conservation charity. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Someone had declared me dead and started cashing in on my land. Right about then, this black SUV pulls up and out steps Helena Blackwood, clipboard in hand, like she's stepping onto a movie set. Perfect hair, expensive shoes, acting like she's doing me a favor, just talking to me. "Mr. Mitchell, so sorry for the confusion. We were told you'd passed away." She laid out paperwork saying my family had donated the cabin for conservation, complete with a death certificate and signatures I'd never seen. She handed it to me all business and told me if there was a mistake, I'd have to prove I was alive and challenge it in court. I tried to keep my cool, but inside I was seeing red. "Ma'am, I'm not dead and my family never donated anything," I said. She just smiled that cold, professional smile and told me to stop harassing her legal tenants. That night I barely slept. I kept looking at those forged documents, my supposed death certificate, wondering how deep this scam really went. Next morning, I marched into my bank thinking I'd just show them my deed and settle this whole mess. The manager I'd known for years looked at me like he'd seen a ghost because, according to their records, my safety deposit box had already been turned over to estate management. Everything was frozen, all because Helena had gotten my death certificate processed through official channels. Even Social Security had me listed as deceased, my credit cards were dead, my phone bill was being canceled. You ever feel like you're slowly being erased piece by piece? That's what it felt like. Helena had figured out how to steal someone's life with a handful of forged documents. It got so bad I started to wonder if maybe my mind was slipping, if maybe I'd signed something during treatment, or my family had made some deal I didn't know about. That's when my old college roommate Dave Cooper called. "Bobby, dead men don't answer their phones. What's going on?" Dave was a property lawyer and the kind of friend who'd believe you when nobody else would. I told him everything: Helena, the foundation, the fake death, the couple renting my cabin. He didn't laugh. He just started digging. Within a day, Dave had uncovered the entire scam. Helena had filed false medical documents, forged signatures, set up her conservation foundation as a one-woman operation 6 months ago, and started collecting rent from half a dozen families. But Dave's big discovery was the original 1924 deed, not just for the cabin, but the entire 240 acres around the lake, including the land where an entire luxury HOA community had been built. Every house, every road, even the clubhouse, all of it was on my family's land, never legally sold. Turns out Helena's little rental scam was just the tip of the iceberg. She'd built her whole fake environmental empire on land she didn't own. Dave and I realized we couldn't just quietly take back my property. The whole community was built on stolen ground. So we called a meeting at the community center. I stood up in front of 100 families and told them the truth, that I'd been declared dead, that their home sat on my family's land, and that Helena had conned everyone. You could hear a pin drop. Then people started shouting, crying, demanding answers. One elderly teacher sobbed, "We just paid off our mortgage. How could this happen?" A young dad started filming everything, trying to wrap his head around it. Folks who'd moved here for eco-living realized they'd been paying fake conservation fees for years. As the truth spread, things exploded. The community marched to Helena's foundation office, tore down her signs, and stopped paying her phony fees. But Helena wasn't done yet. She tried to call 911, claiming there was a dangerous mob threatening her as a federal environmental officer, even trying to paint me as a crazy trespasser. But this time the cops weren't her buddies, they were county deputies, and they started asking real questions. Dave handed over all the evidence, forged paperwork, fake death certificate, proof of bribes to local officials, you name it. When they called the EPA and learned Helena wasn't even in their system, her whole con unraveled in front of the crowd. The FBI showed up within hours. Turns out Helena had been running this scam in 3 other states, using forged documents to seize land from vulnerable owners, collect federal conservation grants, and funnel it all into luxury developments. Over 3 years, she'd pocketed millions, all under the pretense of saving the environment. She tried to flee the country with a fake passport and nearly $90,000 in cash, but got caught at the airport. In the end, her own tricks caught up to her. Watching Helena go from Queen of the Lake to federal inmate was something else. Her trial became national news, the environmental Karen case. She tried everything in court, blaming mental illness, accusing the system, even claiming she was a true visionary. But the jury saw through it, especially when she melted down on the stand screaming that wildlife didn't pay taxes. In the end, the judge threw the book at her: 25 years, millions in restitution, and a lifetime ban from anything environmental. The best part, the community she tried to destroy came together stronger than ever. We set up the Mitchell Family Wetland Preserve using funds from Helena's seized assets. Families who wanted to stay could buy their land legally, and we started real environmental restoration. Property values went up, endangered species returned, and folks from all over wanted to move into the honest eco-community. Kids came for field trips. Universities sent researchers, and National Geographic did a spread about our turnaround. The land healed, the osprey came back, the lake ran clean, and the community finally felt like family again. You know what gets me? Helena spent her whole life putting price tags on everything, even trying to price my existence at zero. But in the end, what she built by accident turned out to be priceless. As I stand here on my deck watching the sunrise over the land my great-grandfather bought a century ago, I realize some betrayals are just the start of a bigger redemption. Maybe that's karma. Maybe it's just the land fighting back. What do you think, pure karma or something deeper? Let me know down in the comments. If this story hit you, share it and tell me, what would you have done if someone tried to erase your life for profit? Because sometimes the only way to get justice is to outlast the people who think they can take it all from you.